Happy lunch hour, gang. Okay, Thursday, and the big deal that everybody's kind of waiting on is Jackson Hole. If you know what that is, it's an area in Wyoming where the Fed is meeting and discussing long-term plans, if you will, for the economy. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not super concerned about long-term plans when we need to worry about the short-term scenario. Last week, we had inflation numbers come in that seemed to be ticking, not much, but a little bit higher. That would be the official numbers. You all know what the prices are at the store, the prices are at the gas station, the prices are on the electric bill or the insurance bill. They're going up, okay? But then this morning, we had the jobs numbers come out, and those are going down. The continued people staying on unemployment, those claims went up higher than expected, and the new filers went up higher than expected. Now, maybe people would say, well, gee, this is from those Doge cuts, but a lot of that is already baked in, okay? We haven't seen any big new cuts. So it's not necessarily government workers that are causing this. It's the private sector. Because tariffs, while they can be a good thing, don't do us a whole lot of good, let's put it that way. When the tariffs are out there, but we're still paying the income tax. Remember this, we got the tax cuts in the BBB, which is how they portrayed it, but none of us got tax cuts. We got maintained the same amount of taxes we've been paying for the last 6 or 7 years, okay, percentage-wise. Sure, they could say tax on tips came down, or tax on the elderly, there's more deductions for them, but that doesn't affect the vast majority of the working class raising a family, trying to buy a house, yada, 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 group of people, okay? Those that are from their mid-20s to their mid-60s, the working class. The working class is going to get their teeth kicked in, try to keep this clean, because as prices continue to tick up, the jobs are getting a little more scarce. Housing, we're in a bull market, a buyer's market for housing, right? Except there's no buyers because of the mortgage rates, which are still at like 6.48 or something like that, okay? Which historically is average, but the problem we have is wages have not kept up. And the more people that are losing their jobs, okay, that means less people can even qualify. But here's the thing that you got to think about. You start getting into that consumer sentiment number. How safe does your job feel? I don't want to go buy a house because I don't know if my job is still going to be there at the end of the year. This is what we're getting into, that the consumer is getting worried, if not already there. The lower middle class, the poor, are getting the snot kicked out of them. The middle class is hanging on by fingernails, and then the upper middle class and the rich don't give a shit, okay? We're entering, as much as they all want to deny it, we are entering a period of stagflation, okay? Which is when prices are going up, but production is not. When we start hearing GDP numbers going down, remember Barack Obama is 1%, 1.2% GDP. At least we didn't have the inflation. Well, now we're ticking back to this same amount of GDP coming down, inflation going up, And this is going to make it harder and harder and harder for people to make ends meet. Can't afford to buy a house. Rent's going up. I don't know about my job. Gas prices, at least those have stayed relatively steady for the last 6 months. We'll give you that. Talk to the people in New England about electricity prices. Talk to people anywhere about insurance prices. You know, all of a sudden we're having more and more and more people that have too many days left at the end of the paycheck, okay? Not enough paycheck left at the end of the month, right? There's a problem. It's like, crap, honey. We got a week to go in the month. We don't have any groceries and we don't have any money. And we've been watching this for a few years now with people financing credit cards, okay, their groceries, buy now, pay later on groceries. I mean, eventually the cow comes home to eat the cabbage and says, you got to pay the bill because you can't borrow your way out of debt. It doesn't work that way. We need something drastic to happen here. Cutting taxes, that's a panacea. All right? It'll help, don't get me wrong, if they can all of a sudden say, instead of taking, I'll make something up, $200 a week out of your paycheck, they're only taking $100 a week out of your paycheck. That helps. But we need to figure out, and it ain't socialism, okay, how to bring the cost of goods down. A lot of it would have a tendency to see efficiency with companies. I mean, I told you the story about a package I shipped a few months ago that was going from here to Dallas, and the post office sent it to Detroit first, because that's a direct route. But you can tell that there's companies along these lines too. We got all this other BS going on. Let's get more solar, like I told you guys about yesterday, Elon Musk and his idiotic comment of we can power the entire country on 100 square miles of solar. No, we can't, okay? You could look at China. China's building nuclear power plants. We're decommissioning them. I mean, I think we've brought one online here this decade so far. We're getting rid of cheap sources of energy for expensive sources of energy. That doesn't make sense. We need to go back to what worked. Stop with this progressive crap, all right? Not politics. I'm talking about all these people, I've got a better way of building a mousetrap. No, you don't need to build a better mousetrap. If the one we got works, stick with it. For years and years and years and years, coal-fired plants, natural gas plants, nuclear plants, hydroelectric plants have brought us cheap, reliable energy. You want to add solar to it? Okay. But don't try to replace it. It doesn't work. It just makes it more expensive. We don't have the infrastructure, and the infrastructure costs us hundreds of billions of dollars to put in. And newsflash, the companies aren't going, hey, you know what? We'll just eat the cost of it. No, they're raising everybody's bills. This is what we're getting into, is everybody wants to do all this progressive crap, again, not political, but trying to make the world a better place, and they're making the world a worse place. It's costing us more. Look at builders, home builders, for example. Oh, the average price of a house in the United States is $400,000 and some odd thousand. Okay? If I'm a builder, I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I'm going to stop building these 2,200 square foot 4-bedroom houses, and I'm going to go back to building the 1,400 square foot house that's got 3 bedrooms in it, and a smaller living room without the cathedral ceilings and all the beautiful stuff that people can afford and go, hey, you know what? Here's a house. It's $225,000. Watch how fast those would sell. And people go, gee, you know what? We can actually afford this one. It's not huge, but okay. How much space do you actually need? Well, gee, Marge, we don't have any place to put my pool table and my pinball machines. And no, maybe you don't need that sort of stuff. And I'm betting the Zoomers and the millennials who are trying to buy houses don't have pool tables and pinball machines waiting to go somewhere. They may want the big house, but they can't afford it. This is the thing. We need to get back to a common sense economy where we have stable growth and low cost. And the way you do that is by following the old mantra, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It wasn't broke. We had a couple, everybody complaining about the boomers or complaining about Gen X or whatever it is. We had stability. Granted, interest rates were all over the place and everything, but if you go from the Reagan era through the Obama era, all right, so that would be 20 plus years. Take out 9/11. That was in there too. You could say the housing crisis, that was in there too. But people had the ability to move up. Sure, that was Reagan, that was Bush, that was Clinton, that was Bush too, that was up until Obama, which is where everything fell apart in this country. You want to go to patient zero for the cancer that is the United States right now, that would be Barack Obama. But we need to go back to that, where we were patriotic. Sure, we were different between liberal ideas and conservative ideas, but at least people didn't hate each other and try to kill each other over it. You get into the economic part, and it doesn't matter what your political persuasion is. It doesn't matter what your race is. It doesn't matter what your religion is. You go to work, you get a paycheck. And if you do the same job as somebody else, you're probably getting pretty close to the same paycheck, regardless of red or blue, black or white, Muslim, Christian, Jew, whatever. We need to get back to being all of one. This stagflationary stuff has got to get fixed. And the way it's done is to go back to what works and stop pretending with all this other goofy stuff. If we can weather this storm economically, we'll be okay. If we wind up in stagflation big time, like what all arrows are pointing to, you got Jerome Powell, will he cut interest rates, or does he hate Donald Trump too much to give him a win? We'll see. But we may see the economic necessity of everything that we've been prepping for come sooner than you know it. Because when power is too expensive, God knows everybody's shutting lights off in a house to make sure you're coordinating your trips so you don't have to make 2 trips into town for, say, if you're going to the bank, you stop at the grocery store on the same trip, right? Because of gas prices. But when it comes to the point where you're going, food's been expensive, and now I can't afford it, this is when your preps are going to save your butt. People that don't want to do it, think it's foolish, they're going to be the ones going, damn, ramen for dinner again. We may not be eating great, maybe eating chicken legs and Dinty Moore beef stew. but at least we'll be able to move forward. Keep doing what you're doing. Economically, this does not look good. Not blaming Trump for that. He's trying to do whatever he can, but he got all the crap companies doing stupid stuff and states doing stupid stuff that are thwarting any sort of recovery. Will the tariffs last? Who knows? But the thing is this, we need some tax relief, not checks cut from the government. We need tax relief, and the only way we're going to get that is if the damn government stops spending money and driving this inflation, because it ain't companies that cause inflation. It's not individuals that cause inflation. It's politicians that cause inflation. We need to clean house. I cannot stress this enough to people. If this is the dumb part. Oh, I hate everybody in Washington, but my guy's good, says people all over the country. So I'll vote for him again. Who's to say? I mean, please find me somebody that can say Adam Schiff is a good senator. Maxine Waters is thinking about her constituents. Jasmine Crockett has a brain. AOC's done anything to make her district improved. You can't. Why these people still get elected? At some point it comes, we have no one to blame but ourselves. Pinball out.